Anti-inflammatory eating for busy professionals. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Vital Living. If you work a busy 9 to 5 job, there's a good chance you often feel tired, bloated, or just not at your best, even when you're trying to eat decently. A lot of people assume this is just normal when you're busy and stressed. But in many cases, chronic low-grade inflammation could be playing a role. Today, I'm going to talk about anti-inflammatory eating and how you can apply it even with a busy schedule. We're going to cover what inflammation actually is, how your diet affects it, the best foods to focus on, foods to limit, and practical ways to eat in a more anti-inflammatory way without spending hours in the kitchen every day. This isn't about following some extreme or complicated diet. It's about making smarter food choices that can help reduce inflammation, improve energy, support recovery, and help you feel better overall, even when life is hectic. So if you're a busy professional who wants to eat in a way that supports your health without adding more stress to your day, stick around. Let's get into it. What is inflammation and why does it matter? Inflammation is your body's natural response to injury or infection. When you get a cut or catch a cold, your immune system triggers inflammation to help heal and protect you. This type of inflammation is normal and temporary. However, there's another type called chronic low-grade inflammation. This happens when your body stays in a mildly inflamed state for long periods of time, sometimes for months or even years. This kind of inflammation is linked to many common problems, including fatigue and low energy, joint pain and stiffness, digestive issues, brain fog, difficulty losing fat, higher risk of various diseases over time. For busy professionals, chronic inflammation is often driven by a combination of poor sleep, high stress, lack of movement, and, very importantly, diet. While you can't control everything, improving your eating habits is one of the most effective ways to reduce inflammation. How food affects inflammation. The food you eat can either increase or decrease inflammation in your body. Some foods contain compounds that promote inflammation, while others are rich in antioxidants, fiber, and healthy fats that help fight it. When you consistently eat a diet high in processed foods, added sugars, and unhealthy fats, it can keep your body in a state of low-grade inflammation. On the other hand, when you eat more whole foods, especially vegetables, fruits, fatty fish, nuts, seeds, and olive oil, you give your body the tools it needs to reduce inflammation. The goal of anti-inflammatory eating is not to be perfect, but to shift the balance toward foods that support your body rather than stress it. Best anti-inflammatory foods. Here are some of the most effective anti-inflammatory foods you can include in your diet. Fatty fish. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, and anchovies are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which have strong anti-inflammatory effects. Eating fatty fish 2 to 3 times per week is one of the best things you can do. Berries. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries are packed with antioxidants that help fight inflammation. They're also relatively low in sugar compared to other fruits. Leafy greens and cruciferous vegetables. Spinach, kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cauliflower are excellent choices. They're high in fiber and antioxidants. Nuts and seeds. Almonds, walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds contain healthy fats and fiber that support an anti-inflammatory response. Olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is rich in compounds that have been shown to reduce inflammation. It's a great choice for cooking and dressings. Turmeric and ginger. These spices contain powerful anti-inflammatory compounds. Using them regularly in cooking, or taking turmeric with black pepper, can be beneficial. Tomatoes. Tomatoes contain lycopene, an antioxidant with anti-inflammatory properties. Cooked tomatoes, like in sauces, actually provide more lycopene than raw ones. Green tea. Green tea contains catechins, which have been shown to reduce inflammation. It's a great alternative to sugary drinks. Avocados. Avocados are rich in healthy fats, fiber, and various nutrients that support an anti-inflammatory diet. Foods that can promote inflammation. While no single food will ruin your health, consistently eating these foods in large amounts can contribute to higher inflammation. Added sugars and sugary drinks. Highly processed foods, chips, packaged snacks, fast food, refined carbohydrates, white bread, pastries, sugary cereals, excessive alcohol, processed meats, sausages, bacon, deli meats with lots of additives, fried foods, artificial trans fats, found in some packaged baked goods. You don't need to completely eliminate these foods, but reducing them, especially added sugars and highly processed items, can make a noticeable difference over time. Practical anti-inflammatory eating for busy professionals. The biggest challenge for most 9-to-5 workers is time. Here's how to make anti-inflammatory eating more realistic. Focus on whole foods most of the time. You don't need to eat perfectly. Aim to make 80% of your meals consist of whole, minimally processed foods. The other 20% can be more flexible. Prioritize protein plus vegetables. Build most of your meals around a good protein source and plenty of vegetables. This naturally makes your meals more anti-inflammatory. Use simple cooking methods. You don't need complicated recipes. Grilling, baking, air frying, and one-pan meals are usually the easiest options for busy people. Prep some things in advance. Even spending 60 to 90 minutes once or twice a week prepping proteins and vegetables can make healthy eating much easier during the week. Keep healthy staples at home and at work. Stock your kitchen and workspace with anti-inflammatory foods so you're less likely to reach for processed options when you're tired or hungry. Sample daily eating pattern. Here's an example of what an anti-inflammatory day could look like for a busy professional. Breakfast. Greek yogurt with berries, chia seeds, and a sprinkle of walnuts. Lunch. Grilled salmon or chicken with a big salad, lots of vegetables, and olive oil dressing. Plus some quinoa or sweet potato. Snack. Handful of almonds and an apple. Or carrot sticks with hummus. Dinner. Baked chicken or turkey with roasted broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and brown rice or quinoa. Evening, optional, green tea or herbal tea. This kind of eating pattern is high in anti-inflammatory foods while still being realistic for someone with a busy schedule. Meal prep tips for anti-inflammatory eating. Meal prepping can make anti-inflammatory eating much more sustainable. Here are some useful tips. Cook a big batch of protein, chicken, salmon, turkey, or lean beef, at the beginning of the week. Roast a large tray of vegetables so you always have some ready. Prepare overnight oats or Greek yogurt parfaits for quick breakfasts. Keep pre-washed greens, cherry tomatoes, and cucumbers on hand for fast salads. Cook extra rice or quinoa and store it in the fridge. Even partial meal prep can make a big difference during a busy work week. Should you take supplements? While whole foods should always come first, some supplements may offer additional support. Omega-3 fish oil, especially useful if you don't eat fatty fish regularly. Turmeric, curcumin, best taken with black pepper for better absorption. Vitamin D, many people are deficient, and low vitamin D is linked to higher inflammation. Magnesium can help with sleep and stress, which indirectly affects inflammation. Supplements are not magic, but they can be helpful when your diet isn't perfect. Common mistakes people make. Here are some mistakes I see often with anti-inflammatory eating. They try to be perfect and end up giving up. Small, consistent changes are much more effective than trying to be perfect and then quitting. They focus only on adding superfoods while still eating lots of processed food. It's more important to reduce inflammatory foods than to just add a few healthy ones. They don't eat enough vegetables. Vegetables should be the foundation of an anti-inflammatory diet. They expect quick results. Reducing inflammation through diet usually takes weeks or months of consistent effort, not days. How anti-inflammatory eating connects to energy and recovery. Many busy professionals notice improvements in energy, mental clarity, and recovery when they start eating in a more anti-inflammatory way. This makes sense because chronic inflammation can drain your energy and slow down recovery from both training and daily stress. When you reduce inflammation through better food choices, many people report more stable energy throughout the day, better sleep quality, less joint stiffness, improved mood and focus, faster recovery from workouts. These benefits often appear gradually over several weeks of consistent eating. Final thoughts. Anti-inflammatory eating doesn't have to be complicated or extreme. For busy professionals, the most effective approach is to focus on eating more whole foods, especially vegetables, fruits, fatty fish, nuts, seeds, and olive oil, while reducing processed foods and added sugars. You don't need to be perfect every single day. Even shifting 70 to 80% of your meals toward anti-inflammatory foods can make a meaningful difference in how you feel and how your body functions over time. If you work a demanding job, the key is to keep things simple and sustainable. Focus on progress, not perfection. If you want help creating a simple anti-inflammatory meal plan that fits your schedule and calorie needs, just let me know and I'll help you build one. Also, if you have any questions about anti-inflammatory eating, drop them in the comments. I read pretty much every comment. If this video gave you some useful ideas for eating in a way that supports your health, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. We post new content every week about fitness, nutrition, and building better habits while living a busy life. Thanks for watching. Guys, I appreciate you. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.